Hey everyone, I'm Ryan. You're watching 60 Cycle Hum, and I'm about to get screwy or unscrewy with this question mark Glarry. It looks just like a Glarry. It was priced like a Glarry. Grant from Big Ear Pedals sent me this just to see what I would say about it, I think. It was the cheapest guitar that wasn't a Strat shape on eBay, like 60 bucks or something like that. Unbranded headstock, but like I said, same exact thing as these Glarrys you've been seeing people cover. So this thing's not fun to play. Like in theory it's fine, but man, it's just not fun. So I want to explore it a bit. I want to mess around with doing some like refinishing stuff on it that I want to try, and then I'll put it back together with a fresh set of strings and maybe a setup and figure out a way to give it away to someone. So anyways, let's do the part where I take it apart and let's look at the guts of this thing, because man, there's just some really interesting qualities to this guitar. First of all, it might not look at it. It might not look at it. It looks like a heavy metal guitar. This is a light metal guitar. It's very, very lightweight. The body feels like it could be made out of foam or something like that. Not a lot of curiosity as far as what's going on the headstock. It needs a new nut cut for it, or the nut that's on there addressed, because it is hanging off the edge like you would not believe. It is hilarious. Almost like an eighth of an inch, like nearly 2/16 of an inch hanging off of there. So let's get into it. Let's snip some stuff, get rid of these strings, and just start taking it apart. Maybe before I snip strings, maybe I should open up the back and see what's going on back there. I mean, when I say I'm going to take it apart, I'm going to take this thing apart. There's going to be nothing left on the body when I'm done, because I want to do some dumb stuff, some dumb fun stuff. You like dumb fun, right? I mean, you're subscribed to this channel. I just insulted both of us at the same time. Probably should have a bucket or a cup or a bag here to put all these parts in, but I'll deal with it later. Alright, first peek inside a routed cavity. Let's see what we got. It's either going to be like way better than I expected, or it's going to be exactly what I expected. Not terrible. The hardware all looks clean. Everything looks normal. I'm not all surprised by this. We've got a double drill. Someone drilled the middle screw wrong on this and had to redo it. I'd be very surprised to see something like that in even like a Squire, or, well, not an Epiphone. I found some weird stuff in an Epiphone once. Okay. Electronics guts. What do we got here? A lot of wire. They're just giving this wire away. I mean, nothing terribly shocking. Kind of a sloppy, gloppy solder on this pot, but not the craziest, coldest solder I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it's technically a functional guitar. It just feels like so cheap. Let's get these strings off. My eyes survived. Oh, they're stuck in there. Man, the parts of this thing are so cheap. I'm going to have a tough time getting myself motivated to even put this thing back together. Let's get the neck all the way off. It'll save us something to fight against. Kind of a nice washer hardware for that neck joint. If I wasn't putting this thing back together, I might want to scalp parts off of it. $60 parts bucket here. Not too many of the parts though. I mean, most of them are pretty awful. Ooh, let's look at the neck joint. What are we about to find in here? Got a shim. Painted neck heel. Does this thing actually have a truss? Or is it just cosmetic? I need a little screwdriver. Oh. Yep, there is a truss rod. I don't know why I suspected that there wouldn't be. I keep looking for like nasty surprises on here because it feels so cheap. But it is, I mean, it is a guitar. It has the parts. I guess I just don't want something to exist for $60 that isn't an incomplete concept. Like, it doesn't seem like it should be possible, right? I have a feeling I'm going to lose that shim and I'll have to make my own. What do you know? I got the right wrench. I'm as surprised as anyone. Some people are going to ask why I don't use power tools for this. My experience in life is that with power tools, I just tend to make bigger mistakes faster. I also don't mind kind of taking my time and enjoying myself right now. It's kind of there's something very zen about stripping a guitar down. Going part by part, taking it down to nothing. Ooh, I forgot to take the springs out of the back. That's why it's pulling up kind of funny. Alright, time to start snipping stuff. The bridge is free. Let's look at this thing. The strings are all stuck in there. Every single string. Oh, there we go. One got loose. But that's not great. If I can't get all these strings out, then I'm going to need a new bridge to get this guitar working. I might be able to jam something thin and sharp down there to free them, but man, that's dumb. You can't even get the strings out of a bridge like this. Imagine being a kid and this is your first guitar. You break a string. You're trying to figure out by reading online instructions on how to replace the strings, and you can't even get the old ones out. You have no idea what's normal or not normal. You bought this because it was the cheapest guitar. It was the cheapest one you can afford. And now you can't even change the strings on it. That would have wrecked my week when I started playing guitar. If I bought something like this and I couldn't figure out how to change the strings, my first time trying to change strings on a guitar, it would have made me feel awful, but it wouldn't have been my fault, you know? I think there's something there's like an interesting point of view I have on super cheap guitars like this. Like, someone asked me if I would recommend that Epiphone SL to a new player. I said, absolutely not. And you think in your head like, oh, it's the cheapest guitar possible. That's what you get for a new player. It's only going to frustrate you. If you're a new guitarist, it's only gonna make it harder for you. And I'm not saying that you need to buy you know, a nice Gibson or even a Fender or anything like that. There's all sorts of really great budget guitars out there. Squier makes some great budget guitars. I mean, Harley Benton is a brand that I'm a big fan of. There's a lot of other brands out there doing great stuff. But these very, very cheapest ones, there's just too much sacrifice to the functionality of them. If you're starting out, you need something you can actually start with, not something that's going to be a detriment to you. I'm curious to see what these pickups look like. They sounded good in the way that sometimes really cheap pickups can surprise you. Like they had a lot of low end and a lot of warmth to them, but not a lot of sparkle or clarity. Like I've always kind of like when I've experienced cheap pickups I don't like, it's because they're just too brittle, too bright, with no low end, no mids. But then there's the other side where you get too much lows, too much mids, and not enough sparkle. Like there's a balance. A good pickup has balance. Unless you do, you know, a variety of things. Man, even the screws holding the humbucker ring in are kind of wonky. They're just like immediately stripping on me. All right, what do we have here? FC52. I mean, it looks cheap, but it doesn't look, you know, like horrendous or anything like that. Like the plastic bobbins even feel cheap. They feel like just an inferior type of plastic. I don't even have a, you know, a clear way to define that. Like they just don't feel like what you expect out of a normal guitar. It feels like somehow they cheaped on plastic. Pretty standard, cheap looking single coil here. No surprises there. Last one. Then it's just the strap buttons. Man, the way I feel about this guitar, like it's wild that it's so cheap. Unless I get a really cool finish going on it, I'm not feeling inspired to put it back together. Just is not a fun player. It doesn't feel like I could dial it in to be much better. There's just something like aggravating about the way the neck feels. And just the guitar as a whole. And of course, it's not tuning stable at all. I couldn't get through a full song with this thing without having to tune it. Even after letting it sit at tuning for a good week or so and trying to use it a bunch of times. Man, these damn screws. I kind of want to chip away somewhere and see what the wood looks like. But where can I do that? Get something flat. I'll chisel away here where the back plate would cover the edge. And see if we can get an idea of what the wood is. And whatever it is, it's very light in color and very porous and very soft. No way of knowing for sure what wood that is, but I'll get a close-up photo of it, and you guys can take guesses. I chewed it up pretty good with that chisel. And even this strap button screw is so punky and small and light feeling. I wouldn't trust that for a minute. Feels like I could snap it right now. How do you get a $60 guitar? You cut every corner, and then you cut those corners, and then somehow work out some kind of deal with various governments to not have to pay taxes, or your employees. Like, how is it that this can exist for $60? It's kind of baffling. All right, well, there we go. The body just feels like nothing. I've never held a body that felt this light before. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I mean, it could be a very resonant guitar body if set up right. Oops. But man, it's kind of ugly. Not really my style in a lot of ways. If I had a good neck, a spare neck sitting around, maybe I would try throwing that on there. But I'd have to re-drill holes for it to fit that drilling layout there. I don't know. I think the question is going to be, is the refinishing I'm going to do on this going to make it cool enough that I just got to put it back together? Because if it's not, I might give away as a pile of parts. Like, put it together for free. Here you go, free guitar. You put it back together. It's a puzzle. So anyways, stay tuned, stay grounded. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, dislike, leave me rude, nasty comments. Smash the bell, click the bell. YouTube's been messing with their algorithm, and my views have taken a little bit of a dip the past couple days. I don't know what's going on. But if you click the bell, then you'll get notifications whenever I have a new video coming up. So yeah, thanks for that. Thanks for everything else. And I already said it, but stay double grounded. Double ground yourself. Bye, everybody.